Alright, so welcome to Silence Sound Radio 深声电台。我是小慧 I'm Gray, and today we're having JoJo from Tokyo and British, England, in the UK. Yeah, and so next up I'm going to ask you in English,
Okay.
but I'll still translate it.
Okay.
Yeah. 好，接下来我们来问一下 JoJo 对于他刚刚演出的一个想法。So JoJo, how do you feel about your set?
Yeah, I think it went pretty well. As you know, it's my first kind of outdoor performance.
Yep.
And, I've been used to sitting in my small room in Tokyo with some headphones on and like just kind of playing ambient noises to myself, hiding from the world. And so it's nice to finally get out there and listen to them through great speakers and great sounds. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was nervous. I found that, because I've been showing someone a patch beforehand at the start, that I hadn't had something plugged in. I was a little confused about why the sound wasn't coming through quite as clearly as I was hoping for. In fact, at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it got ambient at the start for a good few minutes, but I was hoping to do that for a couple of minutes anyway, so it just got a little bit longer.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was great fun. I could really feel like the bass coming through and hear the reverb and stuff. So yeah, it was great.
所以 JoJo 说这是他第一次的 outdoor set， 也就是说他第一次演出就献给我们了。然后他觉得他就是 everything feels great， 就是每一件事情都觉得很不错。然后，但你原本说你的 ambient section 本来没有要那么长，
对。
所以但后面就是演一演。但我觉得就是 longer， 让它久一点，有不一样的感觉这样。
对，是。
So 对啊，那我听到你后面有在除了 ambient 以外，还有再叠加一点鼓声。那为什么会想要做这样子的一个结合 ？So like you're adding a little bit drum, in the back, like in the middle of the set. So why you would like to do that?
Yeah, it just felt a little bit kind of samey. To kind of have the same, I've got kind of three. I thought about adding in another different voice, but got kind of 3-4 different voices in there, and just to keep things moving, to kind of change things up. There were kind of two main parts to that piece, I suppose.
Yeah.
And so to just kind of make it a bit lively. Also, I mean, we're in this space. So kind of having looked at it in advance and being able to kind of see the DJ booth, I thought something with a little bit of a rhythm would be kind of appropriate for the venue as well, rather than just kind of floaty ambient stuff. That's good for kind of 5-10 minutes, but anything more than that, you've got to have some movement, I think.
Yeah. 所以他的意思说，他刚刚的 set 是有分前后半段，然后前半段可能就是比较 ambient part， 然后后面就是有一点鼓声，然后给他一点更多的情绪。因为他刚刚听那个 DJ set 的时候也是有鼓声的，然后所以他觉得说结合这样子，在这个场地是一起结合这种鼓声，有一点这样子的感觉是很不错的。那我比较好奇的是，为什么会开始选择用模组合成器做创作？ Like, why are you using modular synth to as your main instrument to create your music?
Yeah, so that kind of started, I think, like a lot of people, during the pandemic. We're all inside, we can't really go anywhere.
Yes.
And so previously I've been in various different bands. I've always been in bands, like rock bands, post-rock, indie.
Post-party, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so my previous band had just finished. Then we had the pandemic came.
Yeah.
And I was kind of trying to make demos on guitar by myself with a laptop, recording all these different tracks. And it
didn't feel right.
Yeah, it was kind of a frustrating process. You're just kind of, you're listening back to yourself, and then there's no kind of, it isn't very alive.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas with modular, you're playing everything at the same time, and what comes out, right? So, I'd seen... Sorry, thank you.
A little bit closer on that. Sorry.
I'd seen various other people using it. I think again, like a lot of people during the pandemic, I'd spent time on the internet, and I'd seen some modular synth stuff appear, and from there I was just like, okay, well, I guess I can give that a try.
Yeah.
But then other things happened, and I was able to.
Yeah. 所以他说，在疫情之前，他是有玩乐团的，然后是玩后摇，或是一些朋克吗？
是。应该不算，
不，就是后摇团这样子。然后就疫情的时候都不能出门，所以他就看的那个网络就 YouTube 影片，然后就发现有人在用 modular synth， 就是模组合成器去创作，然后他就觉得说，好像也可以来试试看。 然后就开始买这些合成器，然后去做创作。那可是我看你的一整组里面都是 INSTRUŌ， 就是为什么会就是有点像是你好像独好这一口，就是 why are you choosing INSTRUŌ?
Yeah,
do you love it?
Well, I've actually, I have other modules by other makers, but for me, I think for learning, for kind of putting together a performance, it was, I still feel like I'm learning a lot. I still feel like I'm figuring things out, but I just wanted to make things really simple. I wanted to make kind of the flow simple, and I think when you're
It's not simple.
Well, that's why I needed to make it as simple as possible.
Okay.
So I think when you're, and I think other people here will understand, it's when you're kind of, because modular makers it's a small group of people or it's one person or, and fundamentally things are the same, right, underneath. But you're kind of dealing with someone else's way of thinking. Mm-hmm. So I have some ALM modules, I have some mutable instruments modules. But when you put them together, you're kind of trying to deal with 4 or 5 different people's way of thinking. At least for me, that's how it feels for me. And but also kind of aesthetically, the way they feel as well, the INSTRUŌ modules, there's something that really attracts me to them with that. It's just fun to play. It's nice to touch, so that's big for me as well.
Yeah. 所以他的意思是but so you use INSTRUŌ as first?
I think the first I was just buying things. So what happened was during the pandemic I came into some money that I had a little bit of complex feelings about, and I wanted to just kind of turn that money into music because that was my connection with the person who left me that money. And so I started just buying things. And I was just like, okay, this looks good. And I made the mistake that everyone makes, and you just buy things, and then you go, oh, hang on a minute, I don't really know what a VCA is. I don't really know what an envelope is. And so I just had all of these really kind of interesting looking things. So yeah, a lot of the INSTRUŌ stuff was bought because it looks nice. If you look at the Arbha, that was the first thing that I got. And it just looks,
it's really nice.
It looks great, but then you try and figure out what it's actually doing, and it's like, well, okay, that's, and then you realize that you need a lot of other parts and other useful things. So like I have a mutable instrument stages that I was told was great, and everyone on the internet, it looks really cool when you're using it really well, and you see some people, and they use it amazingly well. I don't think I've understood that module yet, just because it's just, there's a lot going on, there's too much going on. So then I started to just buy more and more INSTRUŌ because it was just the same thing, and buying things secondhand as well. It's pretty easy to pick up in Japan as well, so yeah.
所以他刚刚先回到第一个问题，就是为什么会选择 INSTRUŌ， 是因为第一点他想要把一切都变得简单一点。因为我们在学习合成器的时候，很常假如说我们买一块 make noise， 然后再买一块 mutable instrument， 然后你就要去学习每个制造商他们的逻辑，因为每一个人做模组合成器的逻辑不一样，这我非常感同身受。对。然后他最后会选择买这么多 INSTRUŌ， 就是因为他基本上是通用同一套逻辑，对，然后加上它又很好看，对，它是很好看，没有错，对吧？那我想问说，你在学模组合成器的时候，你都怎么学习？那你遇到的困难是什么 ？So how do you learn all these modular maybe synthesis or anything? And what's the difficulty of it?
Trial and error is definitely a lot of it. Just try things and make mistakes and, do things. There are lots of resources online, right? You can see things. Going to watch other people play is huge. Even if you don't like what they're doing too much, you can kind of just sit there and just kind of analyze what someone's doing. And the more you do that, even though you might not know exactly what module it is, you can kind of be like, okay, you can make this sound. You can, this is possible. And, really with modular, anything is possible, right? But I found that kind of just going and watching other people and going, oh, you can do that. Okay, I've got to go home and try and do that myself, or doing that. So one thing that I try and do whenever I've just got some time is I'll pick a module and I will just work with that module. Now, what usually happens is that then 3 hours later, I've got everything plugged into 300 other different things, and it's a mess. But always going in with like, okay, today or this week, I'm working with you, and I'm going to understand you. And that might mean watching the tutorial online or reading the manual or, trying various different things, try to plug it into 4 different things, but yeah.
所以他是说他会先 他推荐的方法就是去多看别人的表演，然后去学习别人怎么做他的 set， 然后就如果你还不懂模组合成器没有关系，但至少我们先知道说原来这是会产生出这样子的声音，然后你可能喜欢这样子的声音，那我们或许可以再回去追溯说，那这个表演者他是怎么做的。那其实蛮多模组合成器的表演者很喜欢拆解自己的 set， 然后他们也会在 YouTube 上做很多 tutorial， 就是做很多教学。然后我也认为这是一个非常好的方式，就是我们先从别人怎么做开始，然后我们先去。可能你就是 patch 跟别人同样的方式，我觉得都没有关系。可是在这个过程中，你一定会找到属于你自己的声音跟自己的逻辑的。然后，那
Yeah, you asked what was what was difficult, you know, and the thing is that for me, I think doing it like at first it was kind of just the logic of modular and synthesis full stop. That's something that's brand new to me. It's something that I wasn't used to coming from kind of a guitar effects pedal kind of world. Like, what's a VCA? What's a VCO? All of this terminology was super hard at the start. I think the other thing is just trying not to be like anybody else. And I think it's quite easy to, there's the meme of, rings into clouds and all of that. And
everybody had it.
Yeah, and I have them too. And because when I first heard modular, I was like, I want to sound like that. And I think everybody at the same time was like, I want to sound like that. Yeah.
I need a math.
Yeah, and hey, I have a math.
I have one too.
It's just an attenuverter today, but But yeah, it was like I, fell into all of the traps that everybody falls into. But I was quite keen to, I've been and I've seen a lot of, ambient stuff, and I've seen kind of experimental stuff. And I think for me, what impressed me about most other people actually was that they're not trying to copy them, and they're not trying to copy other people. Mm-hmm. People are really trying to do their own thing, or they're really trying to come up with their own way. So I kind of feel that I need to do that too, even if it's kind of, I don't know, kind of post-shoegaze, post-rock, modular, or whatever that just was. But but to me that's quite important of like learning the basics, of learning like how to patch things together, like how to, okay, this, if this goes into a filter and this goes into an envelope, and those kind of basic things I ignored for too long at the start, and I'm glad that I learned that. But then after that, it's like, okay, how do you express yourself fully? How do you,
yeah. 所以你的意思比较像是说，觉得可以试着去做出跟别人不一样的东西，是吗？然后，但是要先，你会是觉得说要先学好这个 basic， 所以学好基本，再去做后面的事情。
对对。
哦，但我比较不一样。
哦，真的吗？
我觉得，因为合成器是一个很困难的东西，也不是很困难，就是它是个逻辑性的东西。哦。对，所以如果太早开始，我们就讲太多专有名词。很容易让你很挫折，因为你会不理解说，VCO 为什么一定要接这个，然后为什么一定要有 VCA， 然后我要怎么做有的没的之类的。我觉得可以先就是乱接，你就接到。但当然我的意思，我其实还蛮鼓励大家真的去 copy 别人的 set，你就先 copy 一次，你就知道他们怎么做，那你就会发现说，原来这样子可能会有这样子的声音，然后你再去改变一些里面的一些参数，然后把它长成你自己的东西。但是 I agree with you， 就是你刚刚有说最重要还是你要去学习如何表达你自己。我觉得这就是一个过程，但这个过程中我觉得都没有对错。但最终你是一定要回去学那个 basic 的，对，因为不然你会真的搞不清楚说，就是你还想要当你到一个地方的时候，你还想要再上去的时候，你可能就因为你没有这些 basic 的知识，你会卡在那里。
对，其实我是一开始都是拦截的样子，然后发现那我一定要把这个学好了。
But that's what's the interesting thing about it. You just plug it in anything, and it just won't explode.
It can be outs into outs.
Okay. Just hoping it won't.
Yeah, it might set on fire a little bit.
Yeah, it just might burn your modules.
Yeah, but it's okay. They're cheap. But
is it cheap?
No, not at all. Okay. But I mean that was definitely how I started, and you can find some. What I put up on my Instagram, for example, is a sketchbook, and you go back and it is just, oh my goodness, I made this thing make a noise. I don't know how it made a noise, but I made a noise. And then you gradually realize, okay, I need to have some control over this. Otherwise, it's not an instrument, it's a noise box. And so turning it from a box of random vault noises that are coming out into something that sounds semi-listenable at least, then that you need to learn those basics, I think. Yeah, and I'm still learning. I'm sure that someone looking at this patch would be like, well, you could have done this with this, you could have done this with that, you could have made this so much more easily.
Yeah.
But that's where I am right now. So yeah.
Yeah. 那九九刚刚分享的是说，他觉得他说他一开始也是乱接，然后反正你就先试试看，然后只是说他也是乱接到一定程度之后，发现好像都制造出一堆噪音而已。然后他那时候他也觉得说 ，OK， 好，我应该要回去看一些 tutorial 或者是看一些那个手册去了解。但是对，但我刚刚跟他分享说，我觉得那个乱接的地方就是最有趣的地方，因为你这就是你就。或者说我们就讲古典乐就好，就很多念古典乐出来，他们可能就是会有固定的逻辑，然后但没有不好，因为我觉得这是很强的技能，因为像我就不会，可是我喜欢的是我可以先不要知道这些 barrier， 我不要知道这些框架，我就是先去玩，然后玩下去之后，我再回头去找说，在这个过程中对我来说感兴趣的地方是什么，或者我有喜欢的声音是什么，然后去找寻自己的爱好这样子，但我觉得都没有对错啦。对，真的很怕那个。Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you like to share with us? So from you're starting at as a guitarist.
Guitar, bass. I sang a bit. I've done a little bit of everything. But yeah.
Yeah. So can you share us about your journey of music? 就是那你可以跟我们分享一下，你从就是以前可能玩吉他、玩贝斯啊，然后玩到现在玩合成器的一些音乐过程吗？
Okay, so yeah, when I was like 15, 16, like I think every kid in the north of England, or maybe just in England everywhere, you want to be in a band. Yeah. You kind of, so I heard so much music from and going back to like a lot of it from Manchester, a lot of it from kind of coming out of like New Order, kind of synthy based things, but I didn't realize that was that noise at the time. And being from Sheffield as well, I was kind of always aware of bands like the Human League, or kind of that kind of
Alan Parsons Project and whatever.
Yeah, and you grew up like with that in mind, but I was very much focused on like guitars. And then as soon as I got a guitar, I played bass in a band for a while, I sang in a while, but as soon as I started playing guitar and just guitar, I started buying pedals. And I was in university and I was in a band, and I remember it was kind of like a goth punk band. It's still out there.
Okay.
Yeah. But one thing that somebody said to me was like, you're just trying to turn your guitar into a synth.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to use all these pedals and you're just trying to make a synth noise with a guitar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was like, oh, maybe you're right. And then I just kind of kept buying more and more pedals. But I thought a synth, I'm not kind of classically trained in music at all or anything like that. I see a keyboard and I kind of want to run away. Like it doesn't inspire me to kind of want to play anything.
Yeah.
And so, again, university with recording and kind of making this kind of trying to drag a kind of gothy band into shoegaze territory, basically. And then after that, again, recording on my own, playing with various other bands. Played bass in a kind of a fuzz folk math rock band for a long time.
Okay, complicated.
Yeah, which was different, but kind of taught me about different rhythms and taught me about working with the same drummer that I'm in a band with now. But he and the singer at the time would just do these rhythmic things that made no sense to me because I was listening to bands like My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, longer form things like Godspeed You Black Emperor, Mogwai. Mogwai are a huge influence on me, and so I'm listening to all of this, and then it's very 4/4 or 6/4 or whatever it might be, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of stopping and then going again and then stopping and then going again, and it was so confusing to me, but it kind of forced me to learn more about rhythm and kind of be out of my comfort zone. So that was really useful to me. Yeah.
所以你的意思是你开始的时候是先就是玩比较说后摇，然后但那时候有人跟你说，就是好像你就是演到后面的感觉，好像是你把吉他当成一个 synth 在用，因为你要接很多 pedals，对，然后到后来，所以你是那时候觉得说，吉他玩到一定的程度了。然后还是就是说，好像确实是有点像是，其实你好像比较更 enjoy 的地方是在把它当成一个合成器在玩，所以你后面才衔接到合成器吗？
It was I guess more that with that other band, it had just nothing to do with like it was more just I was playing bass in that band. That was more kind of learning about rhythm and just kind of different styles of music, just not being locked into a 4/4. Yeah.
哦，对，你还有说你之前有帮一个类似数学摇滚的团
Yeah.
做吉他吗？
That was bass with the old
bass.
one. Yeah. And then and then from there I was kind of on my own trying to I had all these pedals that I was playing bass in this band, but there was no place for these pedals to go, so it was just me like literally with a guitar playing a G, like just one chord and then going wah and just making loads of noises, which eventually you'll see was kind of what inspired a little more control. Yeah.
所以就是对你来说，前面的一些乐团经历也让你形成你现在的音乐的风格，这样。
Yeah, and so now, since kind of around the same time as the Modular, but with kind of the same band, we're kind of in a post-rock group. Basically, I'm playing guitar.
Yeah.
A little more reverb, a little less synthy on the guitar, but still a little bit.
Yeah.
But because it's not, it's one type of music that I love, and it's really important to me. But also having kind of found Modular and also kind of listening to a lot of other electronic music, then I kind of view the two as ways of expressing myself, I suppose, but very kind of separate as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
那对你来说，你的模组合成器上的启发，就电子音乐的启发是谁？ So who is your inspiration? Or maybe a book?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really made me want to get more into electronic music generally, I think, was listening to, I mean, I've like bands like, again, I've always kind of listened to various different things, but Lalipuna,
okay.
I Am I, Who Am I? Iona Lee from Sweden, I think, is this incredible, and she has a partner that she works with, but this incredible kind of electro-pop, but it's dark electro-pop sounds. And I think it was when I just heard certain filters being turned and certain like humming bass sounds that you just cannot make on a bass guitar. I was like, okay, how do I make that? How do I try and make that kind of music? Now, that's not where I've ended up, but that was definitely the inspiration for me to kind of start paying attention to that. And then you start listening to more ambient things or paying attention to more kind of ambient things and listening properly to those things. And, you know, I someone that I kind of, to go back to a previous episode of this, just watching Nick Tsai, seeing him. He was the first Modular performer I think I saw in Tokyo.
Oh, in Tokyo.
In Tokyo.
Cool.
And I was just like, I'd already started. I was at that point. I was plugging things in randomly at the random point, and then I saw him actually create a performance. With one of these boxes full of things, and I was like, oh, okay, I really need to work on this.
You want to be like. Not be like
but to be able to create and control and to actually have control over those sounds was something that was really inspiring to me. And then from there, that's when I realized I need to start watching other people.
Oh, cool. Yeah. 所以你刚刚说你有2个乐团是你的 electro pop 的启发，你说可以再跟我们说一次叫什么吗
？So yeah, Lalipuna, I think from Germany.
Okay.
And I think. And then I am I, who am I? It's all one word. Or you can look up Iona Lee. It's kind of her 2 projects, and it's just incredible. Beautiful vocals, beautiful kind of bass lines, and very danceable as well. But yeah.
就是很好听。对，然后他说他前阵子刚好在看的人就是 Nick。对，然后 Nick 是我们第一次 Modulands 第一次邀请来的表演者。那当然 Nick 也是做了。我上次访问他，他说他也是好像从2018、19年就开始做，对我也蛮喜欢他的东西，对啊，所以就是，然后他就说他是去年在那个日本看完 Nick 演出，或者看到大家演出之后，在 TFOM 看完之后，然后就觉得说你需要就是 dig into it.
Yeah, no, it wasn't actually at TFOM. It was in a small coffee shop in Tokyo. This was maybe I don't remember exactly when, but. Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what it.
Yeah.
对，就是他说在那个咖啡店的一场演出，对哦。然后推荐大家就是玩模组的都可以去日本晃晃，日本真的是大集散地，而且就有一堆二手的，可以去 5G 啊什么的。Yeah. Okay, so like one last question. 那我想问说，你对你来说做音乐的意义，或者是你的想法是什么？为什么会想要做音乐啊？然后为什么会想要用模组合成器？ 然后为什么又要做 ambient music？ 就是这么多问题。So, why would you want? Oh, one last question. So I would like to know why you want to make music and what's the inspiration of it and why you make ambient music, something like that.
Yeah, it's a really good question. If I said I don't know, like that might not sound so good, but I think
it can be you don't know.
Yeah, it's something that I've kind of always done, and that when I haven't, say, been in a band or when I haven't had a way of producing things, it's something that's kind of been. I've always found some way of recording something, even if it's like I'm on holiday and I'm recording the sound of a kind of field recording a little bit. I've always kind of had this desire to put something out there. So it's kind of like a. There's something that makes me want to do it. I don't think, I know friends who
you feel joy?
Yeah, I think so. And I've always performed. Even since I was a small child, I performed in musicals and things like that. Should have mentioned that earlier, but I forgot. But okay. I've always enjoyed being in front of people and performing or having a performance ready to go. That's something that's really important to me, I think. And so for me, especially with Modular, I found that it's like having a blank canvas. And every day, with Modular, it's really hard to recreate the same thing, and I never keep the same patch in place. It's always new every time, which is probably it's a good way of learning because you have to try and recreate it.
Yeah.
But having that blank canvas, having that, sometimes you're tired or you've got a free morning or you wake up and you're having a coffee and you just plug it in and again for me put on your headphones.
Yeah.
And you can create this world of like whatever your feeling is at that moment, whatever memory you have, whatever kind of, you're thinking about a certain place that you've been or a place that you want to be.
Yeah.
And you can kind of, maybe not recreate it, but you can express that feeling through Modular. I think that's kind of a really unique and special thing about, for me at least. I know other people can do that and they can record various things into a laptop. I don't have the patience. And it's like, boom, you can record it, you can make a sketch.
So you usually record it once?
Just once.
And that's it?
That's it.
Same.
And if it's good, it's good. And, again, a co-worker of mine, a friend who is, he draws, he creates art. I was kind of worried. I'm not a perfectionist because I don't think I'll ever be perfect. Yeah. But I certainly worry about what I'm putting out into the world and if it's good enough. And he's like, stop worrying.
Yeah.
Just, your Instagram or YouTube, whatever it is, it's a sketchbook. Yeah. It's just an open sketchbook that you're sharing with the world. Yeah. And when he said that, I was like, oh, it's okay for me to share something that's not perfect.
Absolutely.
And, people have listened to it and they've said it's okay. And, a lot of it is, I don't know, it is personal and it is for me. Certain times I'll find myself listening to my own music just to kind of go to a different place or to calm down or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But if other people like it too, then that makes me really happy.
所以你刚刚分享的是说，其实你一开始没有想出一个为什么一定要做音乐，但是你就是蛮喜欢这个过程，然后你也很喜欢在大家面前演出的一种感觉，然后或者是透过模组合成器去创作，去表达你自己的情感、你的情绪，你觉得是一件就是算是一个你还蛮喜欢做的事情。然后之前有人跟你说了说，就是可以去 YouTube 啊什么，就是 IG 上分享，然后不要去在意那些什么点阅率或者大家到底喜不喜欢，就因为重点还是我们有一直在持续的做，然后所有人都是从0到1，所有人都是从不完美到最后很完美，所以就是 try and error I guess and just keep on going and never give up. Yeah, 因为你
sometimes give up, but
yeah, I mean if you're stuck too long, maybe you have give up this part and go into another way. But what I mean is like I know it's hard to for all all of us, we're trying to struggling with financial and music, of course. Yeah. And I mean I think that's the hardest thing ever. And yeah, but I mean there are also many ways that we can balance it. Yeah. It just depends on what kind of thing you would love to do. And for me, I totally agree about just do it and record it. Even if it's not perfect, maybe someone will like it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if nobody likes it. You like it. And
if I thought it was okay, then yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and okay, I think. Do you have anything else to share with us?
nonetheless, and you have any more questions, or if anybody else has any questions, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. So it's like 所以现场观众有没有什么想要问 JoJo 的问题吗 ？Any questions like you want to ask? You want to ask? Okay.
他刚刚不是说每个模组的设计者会有他自己的一套逻辑吗？
对。
然后那他觉得 INSTRUŌ 的逻辑像是什么感觉？
Oh, so what's the logic of INSTRUŌ? When you said about like you say every designer has his own logic.
I mean, I think so. I think we should probably ask a designer if that's the case. But for me, I think that there is a certain musicality to INSTRUŌ. The maker is kind of a classically trained musician who doesn't shy away from saying I've made these like algorithms that I like. Yeah. And I've made these things that I like and that I like to work with them. So I think that there's kind of a consistent flow from one module to another. So I don't know if it's particularly what that logic is or anything. It's more that it's a consistent logic. And also things like it's all, it's not scaled to, in modular. We're dealing with different makers who will make things to 8 volts and 10 volts and various different things.
Yes.
You don't have to mess around with that because you've got a consistent,
And
base.
some input were like receiving like from 10 volts and some is like from 5 volts, and so you can plug more.
So without, it's kind of again making things a little simpler on me, I guess is the goal there. Yeah.
他意思说，就是他说他也没办法讲出一个确切的逻辑，但是就是举例来说。像因为有些模组可能它的 input CV 孔它可能是 start from 0 volt， 它的中间是 0 volt， 但它有些可能是在5 volt 或是甚至我不知道有没有 negative 的，但它的意思是说，但是是 INSTRUŌ， 因为就是全部都同一牌子的，所以它就不会有别的问题，它的基准点不会不一样。对。所以
and the visual design is quite similar too. So you know what, like if you're as I just did, if you have to change something, like what the fine is very easily versus the kind of the large. So if it goes out of tune, you have to go and you have to kind of put things back. Yeah. Then it's quite visually easy to kind of see what those things are. So it's just again, it's a little mental simplification so that I can focus on. Again, I don't have an engineer's mindset at all. I don't have that kind of way of thinking. So it's again simplifying the process visually, physically. Right. So that it's just easier to play.
这样有回答到你的问题吗？赞。那各位观众还有什么要问的吗？或者是等一下可以再来玩这些东西？
Go for it, yeah.
就是 Chris 老师刚刚说，就是他觉得他听起来JoJo金的声音应该不是他的第一个声音，因为他觉得很完美，很赞这样。对，然后他觉得。就是老师，你是觉得说他开始选择用模组合成器，然后用这样子的这一套逻辑是很就是有这个勇气去用这个是很了不起的，对。
Yeah, I agree. I think that, again, this is just my own way that I've found of simplifying things. I think there's also a lot of merit in changing things up because the thing about modular is you can really make your own instrument, right? And
Yeah, you can.
Have not really done that.
Okay.
It's just kind of one, I was talking with some friends here earlier on, and we were saying we are kind of just making one very expensive instrument that's all of the same system.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be but this has helped me learn. This has helped me to kind of learn what I'm doing and kind of give me a solid base. And I think from now, it's, certainly when I go back to, say, I've got another rack that has other modules in there, when I go back in there, I find it easier to use them because I've got the basic learning through having one simple system. But I think people can do that on VCV.
Yeah.
People do that with Dupfer. People can do that with any, choose a maker and kind of go with that.
Yeah.
And then you can do that learning first. You don't have to buy everything first and then sell things and buy things to kind of
build your own rack.
Yeah.
所以JoJo意思是说，他觉得说这一套 INSTRUŌ 系统让他先学好了很多基础。然后他也觉得说，其实就是你也可以选择一个智障啊，例如说现在有免费的软体，就是 VCV Rack， 然后你也可以先从里面 VCV Rack 最简单的东西开始学，就是很 VCA envelope 这样子，然后或者是你也可以从就是比较现代一点，就是 Mutable 也是比较后面的一些东西，然后也可以从那边开始学，但是其实基本上逻辑，如果你是 Euro Rack 系统的话，这逻辑其实是差不多，然后当你学会了一套逻辑之后，你移到下一套， 我觉得就是你会很快的上手。对啊，像我也用 Peter 的 Tenderfoot 的 module， 然后我觉得真的是，我觉得还蛮符合我的逻辑的。So I think your module is like fitting my logic, so I understand it like really quick, and I think that's what you can just try it, and if you don't have any money, you can just start from VCV and try like, oh, I like this sound, or I like the logic of it, and you can buy the real one, or you're just sticking to the software. It's all right, but yeah, just keep on learning it.
Yeah, just build that variety, and then So I hope in the future I can have something that's a little more. It's not all one maker. It's got a little more variety to it.
But it's okay. You can be the ambassador of INSTRUŌ.
Well, sure, ask them.
You should ask them. So once again, thanks for everyone to come to Modulands, and this is Silence Sound Radio, and I'm Gray, and this is JoJo, and thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.